Good evening. Tonight, I'd like to take you all on a journey with me, a journey into the mind of an enigma, an inscrutable, inimitable artist, one of the lights of our times. He's, a multi-hyphenate. He is an actor, a writer, a director, a poet. One might wonder if there is, in fact, anything that he cannot do. Of course, I'm speaking of James Franco, and the book of poetry that I would like to read from this evening is entitled Straight James, Gay James by James Franco. I think it is the kind of material that is best presented without comment. So I will be just reading the poems one by one. It's a short book. I'll probably get through the whole thing. It's 50 pages, thin volume. The words on the page are, fairly sparse. Perhaps I'll skip a poem here or there, just depending on how we're doing for time. But I do think it's important that we get as close to an unabridged reading as possible, because I don't think it's fair that any of this work be judged just on a snippet. It needs the context of the whole to really for it to really sink in and to have a maximum emotional impact. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and start reading from Straight James, Gay James. Straight James, Gay James. Other books by James Franco. Actors Anonymous. A California Childhood. Strongest of the Litter. Rebel. Dangerous Book for Boys. That's spelled F-O-U-R, boys. Palo Alto. Directing Herbert White. New Film Stills. Moving Pictures / Moving Sculptures. Hollywood Dreaming. And Magic Mountain / Home Movies. Were he to stop publishing today, he has an admirable body of work already. The Library of Congress page, Straight James, Gay James. Copyright 2016, Whose Dog Are You Productions. All rights reserved except for brief passages quoted in newspaper, magazine, radio, or television reviews. No part of this book may be reproduced in any form or by any means, electronic or mechanical, including photocopying or recording, or by an information storage and retrieval system, sometimes known as a database, but being more specific here, without permission in writing from the publisher. This book is a work of fiction. Names, character, places, and incidents. Now, it says names, character. It doesn't say names, characters. I don't know why that is. There's probably first of all, I don't know how much Mr. Franco had to do with the authoring of this particular page, or if it was Whose Dog Are You Productions, who was in charge with making sure that everything was, all the I's were dotted and the T's crossed. But perhaps that's correct. Names, character, places, and incidents either are products of the author's imagination, I might add fertile imagination, or are used fictitiously. Any resemblance to actual events or locales or persons, living or dead, is entirely coincidental. Dedication. I've got war in my mind. Lana Del Rey. I'm going to skip the table of contents and get right to the first poem. Without further ado, I present the first poem from Straight James, Gay James. It is entitled Dumbo. Dumb is me. As a young elephant, I was shy from too much attention, so speak I didn't. A young animal at age 13, life plunked me down in junior high like Dumbo in the circus. As I grew, isolation followed me. The only recourse was to drink hard with the clowns. Pink elephants paraded and sloshed through my youth until I became a sinister clown. With a smile painted so thick, I looked mad happy always. And I never flew. I never flew. The next poem I'll be reading is entitled Mask. There is a face, and it's mine. It is a mask I wear, and money comes. White, young, lusty, symmetrical, dark-browed. This mask is the face of Gucci, officially. Because this mask has been branded, my face underneath, the one they call me, can be a naughty face. He is the face that drips with cum and glistens with pussy. A secret devil beneath the slick surface of the Gucci smile. All I have to do to keep this double reign of outer poster boy and inner beazle is keep these creatures separate so they don't mix in public, while at night, in sparkly light, they are but one, me. This next one is called Custom Hotel. There is a hotel on the edge of Los Angeles, near the airport on Lincoln. Its title is high and red, above the traffic bound to LAX, slugging through the Inglewood smog. Custom Hotel, it says, oven hot red. Unlike the regular airport hotels, the Custom has a little bit of comfort and style. Behind the check-in desk, 5 monitors showing in slow-mo different scenes of Los Angeles. Skateboarders gliding in the cement bowls under the palm trees of Venice. Traffic seen from above. And, in a trick of the edit, driving backwards on the hot, rubber-scarred freeway, sucked back by a force as powerful as God. On the 4th, the spinning blue globe of the crossroads of the world. On the 5th, surfers surfing. The ocean crashing. I come through here every week. The last stop before the airport launch pad, back to wherever the cameras need me. I always get number 1212. Make a note. It looks to the airport and beyond to water. Before dusk, the view burns into desaturated fuchsia with a grain of old 8mm, a 1970s home movie sunset. The white sun drops below the west side horizon. Like a like a baby in a chrism, baptized in a sky of blood. At night, a centipede of lights. These are my wicked, wicked ways. I am the Witch King of the Hollywood Hills, the dark star rising, Hollywood actor. Pretty things see me on the screen. And then I step out of the screen and take them in their petrified awe. I take the wise ones too, but they are of my coven. I know my own satanic strength, and I check it with goodwill, giving back the charity of my experience, growing little actor gardens here and there. Flowers bloom and flowers fade. Blonde hair climbed under the shower with me. We kissed on our knees in the blue water. Then, out to the bed, the red light from the custom sign in through the window, redding everything. Beyond, the planes lift, as if on strings, above the black damped city, and the red sign backlights her shoulders like devil's wings. I'll take a moment here, just a brief pause. I have not read this book before. I've looked at a couple of the poems, but this is my first time reading them. I'm not sure why I tell you that, except to let you know that I'm experiencing these for the first time, much as perhaps you are. So let's move on to the Gucci Book of the Dead. King Tut had his tomb full of all his earthly things to keep him happy in the land of the dead. Servants killed, dogs sacrificed, herbs, spices, ceremonial masks, his preserved entrails and mummified brain transferred to the other side. Bury me sorry, overcome. Oh, James. Bury me in my gooch. Bury me in my gooch, entomb me in cooch. Leather jacket by dam, denim close on ham. Boots of the devil, hair of a widow's peak, young women to serve, cats and kittens to pet. This is how I'll live in beyond. The Gucci Book of the Dead states that living is style, and therefore dying is style. And the devil is in the details. I would make a heaven of hell with a few well-chosen accessories. Black jacket to hold my red wings, black boots for my cloven hooves, black shades for eyes that burn. Black Death. I put on the mask of Richard Ramirez and drive through these poems like a satanic killer cruising down the 1980s Los Angeles freeways. At night, in a stolen car, high on speed, Highway to Hell on the stereo, AC/DC baseball cap, on. Avia high tops, on. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce that particular brand, but that's what I'm going with. Black trench coat, on. I once was a robber. Now I'm a robber of souls. Think about it, a nightmare. You wake, I'm over you, your wife. Next to you, a gun in your face. You're dead. I've snuck into your house. It was so isolated on your quiet street. No one noticed me, stealthy as the angel of death. My coattails spread like black wings. There was a marking on your door, not lamb's blood, but an invisible sign that only I could read. It said, victims. I've killed you. I've spent hours with your wife. This next piece is called, I Was Born into a World. I was born into a world before recycling was a thing, before oil wars, when the biggest world threat was nuclear. The only extinct thing was the dodo. We consumed. It's very hard to let that pass. We consumed and junked. Then we were told about droughts and disappearing rainforests. I'm sorry. Then we were told about droughts and disappearing rainforests, about melting ice caps, and we fought Iraq for a second time. Like father, like son, we needed our oil because we didn't want those electric cars. At one time, there were huge monsters that walked where we walked. Nature swallowed them easy. Or maybe you believe it all started with Adam and Eve. But they too were kicked from the garden, as are we, with our poison beaches, run-down towns, and our atmosphere that kills. I write a poem and preach to the converted. We send out loud messages to ourselves that our world is dying. 1984, Blade Runner, Armageddon, The Road. One of these things is not like the other in that grouping. 1984, Blade Runner, Armageddon, The Road. I've yet to read a book or watch a film about a future I'd like to live in. Fortunately for me, I'll die before the earth, but I'd like a place for my computer chip self to click and beep in bright, clean happiness. This one is entitled Venice. We went out to Venice for a staycation. I've been working too much, and I needed to relax. We took Gone Girl and read on the beach, between the graffiti wall and the lifeguard post near the rocks that go out in the water like a dragon tail. Maybe Nick Dunn killed his wife, Amazing Amy, or maybe it's all a game she set up. One day we did a script reading for a movie about Ken Kesey and the Merry Pranksters. Ken Kesey. The next day we did one about a young Ten Williams. That is how he refers to him, Ten Williams, and the young days that inspired his first masterpiece, The Glass Menagerie. Monday morning, I met with Bruce T. Chung on the basketball court that was used in White Men Can't Jump, or American History X, or both. Just a little way down from Arnold's Muscle Beach, we talked about our film, Zeroville, which is about Hollywood in the 70s. We talked about 120 Days of Sodom and A Place in the Sun. Bruce and I got breakfast. He got a Walt Whitman omelet, crispy bacon. The Faulkner omelet had ham and avocados and Gouda. At the bookstore next door, I got Styron's Nat Turner, and Bruce got one by a guy who's a friend of Dean Bacopoulos, who wrote Please Don't Come Back from the Moon. We're adapting it into a film. It's about absent fathers, told through a mysterious phenomenon where all the dads in town just leave. And the teen boys are forced to be the men. We talked about how to make the end work. Then I said, I came here when I was 14 for YMCA surf camp, but no one could actually surf. We almost got kicked out for being stupid. It had been my first time in Los Angeles. Now I've been here almost 20 years. As the sun set, we watched skaters in the bowl. This one black kid, tall, thin, fun, at perfect ease on the board, sailed around the bowl trying to perfect a trick to catch a football in a midair move. He never got it, but kept practicing unto dark. This one's called Hello, Woman. Hello, woman. I'd like to be you. Not because I don't enjoy my man body, my man strength, my man looks, my man mind, but because I love yours even more. I love your woman body. I love your woman mind, your woman face that is delicate and even has a little downy hair. I love the shapely soft parts. I love the vagina lips, no cock. I love the butt swoop and the clean butthole in the middle. I love the woman bond so much more than the man. I love the woman desires, the love, the strength, the connection. More, 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 more. The man is angry. The man is destructive. The man wants more. The woman is more. The woman is all. If I ever got high, it would be to be the woman. If I ever did porn, I'd want to be the woman. I don't want to be the man in woman. I just want to be woman. But I will never be woman. I am man, trapped in man. I have no escape from this body, this mind, this upbringing. My only escape is a poem. Feel the curves. They are the liquid shape of my woman body. This next one is called New Rebel. Rebel, rebel, rebel. That's my interpretation. There is a way to be, and then there is a way to be boring. When I think of rebel, I think of James Dean and Rebel Without a Cause. But then I think of all the lazy journalists who have used James Dean to identify or denigrate some new up-and-coming actor, and I see that the image of Dean has been tarnished, as particularly ironic. I think of Dean's ghost, shooting through his windshield with the inertia of his Porsche Spider racing down the dusty road to Salinas, right before the impact, with old Donald Turnipseed's dinky sedan. He's got to see us, said Dean to his passenger, Rolf, a German name I'm not sure how to pronounce, his mechanic, right before impact. But he didn't see them, and then, pow! Dean's ghost never stopped, launched from that moment off the back of his image, and shot through every generation after. It shot through the outlaw antics of Dennis Hopper. Motorcycles, man. I got that from Dean, man. Shot through the slouchy, insouciant pose and attitude of Bobby Dylan. Shot through the jazzy heroin rhythms of Chet Baker. Shot through the fuck you punch to the art world of cigarette-smoking Jackson Pollock. He crashed too, didn't he? Shot through the siren of the streets, Jean-Michel Basquiat. Shot through the blue jeans of the working-class hero, Bruce Springsteen. Shot through the art films of Kenneth Anger, Scorpio Rising, Dean Lives, Hail Satan. Shot through the vampire teen phenomenon of Robert Pattinson, and even more so in his hardcore ex, Kristen Stewart, a brooding Dean if I ever saw one. Shot through Jack Kerouac and Neil Cassidy out on the road. Shot through Terrence Malick, I'll kiss your ass if he don't look like James Dean. The ghost, it shot through and inhabited, and the Dean influence grew like a phantom. That's the problem with idols. They become communal, and the lame and boring take them for their own purposes. How can you be dangerous in the age when MTV appropriates all youth rebellion and commercializes it? Of course, there's still rebellious stuff on MTV, but it's all framed by the network. Social networking is a fresh road of access. It's scary to magazines and newspapers because it spells their doom. The digital writing is on the wall, and they decry it in the old-fashioned writing of ink on glossy pages in newsprint. I hate a selfie as much as anyone, but I love a selfie more than anyone. Know why? Because it's mine, and yours is yours. It's taken in that special place between self and mirror. If it's a true selfie, it is held by the subject, so the arm is circling out in front of the person, and the camera is just an extension of the self, like an octopus tentacle with an eye at the end, looking back at its body. Group, group, group. We all live in a group. The citadels are crumbling. New ways of standing above will be developed eventually, but for now the old ways are crumbling. We did not start a new poem. The rebels of a new generation, where everything can be stolen and reposted, those that steal and collage and repost in the most interesting ways. The bling ringers, those teens who stole all that shit from Lindsay Lohan and Paris Hilton, they are the punk rockers of today. Of course they're douchebags, and of course we don't like them, but who liked punks back in the day? They were the outsiders, the smelly, the ugly, not the punks appropriated by children's television today, softened by MTV, but the ugly shits who shot up heroin mixed with toilet water. They weren't cool, but they were rebels. The bling ringers are pretty, but they're criminals. They're MTV on the surface and Sid Vicious underneath. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, who would break into people's homes, kill the male in his sleep, and rape the women, no matter how old, sometimes grandmas, started as a burglar. He would break into houses and steal items for drugs. Then, later, instead of stealing, he started killing the people inside. Hail Satan. Rebellion involves violence, a killing. It would be difficult for me to disagree with that statement anymore. But it's a poem. Sometimes violence is more stomachable. Sometimes violence is more stomachable when it is cloaked in comedy. You can kill people with no repercussions as long as they're laughing. Today, there are two types of rebels. Those that fight the system outright, and those that walk the line between acceptance of the system and destruction of the system. If you're on the inside, I'm on the inside of the Hollywood system. You can work your rebellion into your work without seeming to rebel. This is my kind of rebellion. Oz and Spring Breakers out at the same time. An interior leather bar out at the same time too. Real gay sex. Milk and Pineapple Express out in the same year. Teaching graduate film at the best film schools in the country and posting shirtless selfies. I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. This next one is called Lana Poem Essay. This is a poem about Lana Del Rey. This is an essay about Lana Del Rey. Lana has become my friend. She is a musician who is a poet and a video artist. She grew up on the East Coast, but she's an artist of the West Coast. When I watch her stuff, when I listen to her stuff, I'm reminded of everything I love about Los Angeles. I'm sucked into a long gallery of Los Angeles cult figurines and cult people, up all night like vampires, and into the sunrise like bikers. The only difference between Lana and me is her haunting voice. That carries everything. The voice is the central axle around which the spokes of everything else extend. My axle, like her voice for her, is my acting. Out of it, I do everything else. I don't like vampires or bikers in my life, but I like them in my art. Lana lives in her art, and when she comes down to earth for interviews, it gets messy because she isn't made for this earth. She is made to live in the world she creates. She is one who has been so disappointed by life, she had to create her own world. Just let her live in it. I am a performer, and she is a performer. The thing about singers, especially the ones who write their own lyrics, is that everyone reads the person into the songs. An actor is sometimes aligned with his roles, but a singer is asked about her lyrics as if they were direct statements of her true thoughts and feelings. Sometimes Lana doesn't know what to say in interviews, so she plays into the idea that her songs are her and not her creations. Lana spends a lot of time alone because everyone wants in. She has an idea for a film. I want to do it because it's a little like Sunset Boulevard. A woman is alone in a big house in LA. She doesn't want to go out. She starts to go crazy and becomes paranoid because she feels like people are watching her. Even in her own house. It's like an awesome B movie that lives in Lana's head. It's about her, and it's not about her, just like her music. I wanted to interview Lana for a book, and she said, "Just write around me. It's better if it's not my own words. It's almost better if you don't get me exactly, but try." This next one is called Born to Die. My little apartment in Los Feliz, said to once be owned by Charlie Chaplin, but you know, they say that about all the apartments in LA. I dream about Lana Del Rey, and she dreams about Lana Del Rey. And is Lana Del Rey a dream she created and then entered? Will she enter the dream forever? In my little apartment, I have my pot and my wigs and my makeup that I apply slowly, in slow motion, in my Marilyn mirror with the starlights, and Born to Die on repeat, and a tiger orange fire in the background. In my little mind, within my unsheathed head shaved, within my unsheathed head shaved and naked, for now. I've entered the dream, and killed reality. Nathaniel West's Hollywood painting was a raging Bosch-like conflagration, full of his denizens on the outskirts, out-of-work cowboys, extras, unfunny comedians, all screaming and burning, and also fanning the flames as they butt-fucked and sucked in every room of all the mansions in the Hollywood of the mind. This next one is called Brother One. This brother, Tom, once told me on a family vacation after everyone had moved out and we reunited only twice annually, summer in Hilton Head and Christmas in Palo Alto, that he was sad because once we were close, that we had done all together, and that he was always looking up to his big brother. And then he said, I left, and we were no longer close. When? I said. When I went to UCLA? No, he said. When you went to kindergarten. This one is entitled Brother Two. Brother Two is the one who is more like me. Not in looks so much as Brother One, but we do share a certain smile, a crinkle of the eye, and the sound of our laughs. There are probably myriad little things that we both do, handed down through DNA, and from proximity to the love of the same parents. I try not to look for those things, because I'll think that they're mine, and that he has stolen them. Brother Dave is the youngest by far, 7 years after me, and 5 after Tom. When he was in high school in Palo Alto, I was long gone to Los Angeles. By the time he graduated, I was Spider-Man's best friend. Later, he followed me to LA. I went to UCLA. He went to USC. He likes sports. I don't have time. He's pretty short, but he has blonde hair. We both love cats, raised on them. There was a time he and I went to the Bruin Trojan football game. USC was rated number 1. Oh my god. But our quarterback ran the ball in 3 times. The ride home with Davey and all his USC friends was awkward. He seems to not have a care in the world. He's in funny movies. And yes, he works very hard, but I've never seen him cry. He has a girlfriend, and they're very much in love. It must be hard to have a brother who was in Freaks and Geeks while you were still in real high school. It must be hard to live in a body full of mannerisms and with a mind full of thoughts that I have already shown the world. For years in Hollywood, he was James Franco's little brother. He lived with me for a while near Sunset, in the building Betty Davis died in. But they all say that about all the buildings and all that. I gave him the bed, and he slept with the cats, my cats, Harry and Arturo. He fed them and wooed them to his side. For years he kept his distance. I offered him roles in artistic things. He turned me down. His own brother. He was running fast, away from my shadow. When he moved out of the Betty Davis place, the cats went with him. I let them all go, with my everlasting love. Now the brothers who don't live together, but the brother cats still do. Continuing with the sibling theme, this one is entitled 3 Brothers. We were raised by a mother who loved us and a father who showed us strange strength. We learned to love animals, so as adults we all kept them as pets. We learned to love art. Now that's how we spend our lives. Actor, artist, actor. Every Christmas we come together. There are no children, so we give love to each other. That's what we were taught. Our father is now gone, but the tradition lives on. Merry Christmas to me. Merry Christmas to Mom. Merry Christmas, Dave. Merry Christmas, Tom. This one is called 20-Year Chip. 20 years ago today, I took my last drink of King alcohol, breaking probation after school. Ken's dad's liquor in Ken's backyard, with Luke, Ivan, Bo, Matt, and Mike. When Ken's mom came home, we jumped the fence and into my father's hand-me-down Honda Accord. A jumble of bodies on the road, over to Matt's on Christmas Tree Lane. But Bo had forgotten his weed. On my way back with Bo, the Accord went through a stop on Middlefield Road, and a car slammed into our front, spinning the Accord. I chose to drive away. First a side street letting Bo out, and then a roundabout way back home where the cops were waiting. I was made a ward of the court. Ivan jumped from a parking garage in San Francisco. Luke is in a rock band. Ken lives in Japan. Bo, I don't know. Drunk driving. Mike lost his license at age 35. I've addicted myself to other things like imagination, coffee, and sex. I put the crazy man I was into the crazy men I play. Acting is my drinking. Movies are my drugs. There's only a few more left. Bear with me. The eponymous poem, this one is entitled Straight James, Gay James. I'll tell you what, I'm going to do Straight James over in this mic, and I'm going to do Gay James over in this mic. Straight James. Hey, bud, this is weird. You're interviewing yourself. Gay James. Yeah, I know. Who's doing the interview and who's being interviewed? Straight James. Let's just have a convo and we'll both try and get to the bottom of James. Gay James. Okay, deal. But my question is, who is the real James and who is the mask? Straight James. I guess that's what everyone wants to know, right? Gay James. I guess. But I also guess that even though I have this public persona that is all whacked out and hard to pin down, or annoying, or whatever, in some ways I'm still more real than if I were just hiding behind a facade or whatever. Straight James. Facade? Meaning like a movie star facade? Gay James. Yeah, if I were to just hide behind my movies and try and look cool and don't talk about anything of substance and just give bland answers to everything like an athlete, yeah, we played with heart out there tonight, really brought it. Straight James. Okay, so good place to start. Let's get substantial. Are you fucking gay or what? Gay James. Well, I like to think that I'm gay in my art and straight in my life. Although I'm also gay in my life. Although I'm also gay in my life up to the point of intercourse, and then you could say I'm straight. So I guess it depends on how you define gay. Oh my God. So I guess it depends how you define gay. If it means whom you have sex with, I guess I'm straight. In the 20s and 30s, they used to define homosexuality by how you acted and not whom you slept with. Sailors would fuck guys all the time, but as long as they behaved in masculine ways, they weren't considered gay. I wrote a little poem about it. Oh my gosh, he's about to get meta here. He's a poem within a poem. Okay, the poem within the poem is called Gay New York, and I'm presuming it's in Gay James's voice, so I'm staying on this microphone. Gay New York is the name of a book about gays in New York from the 19th century on. Back in the 30s, before the Second World War, gay wasn't even a word unless you mean happy. You were queer if you acted queer, but you could turn a sailor and still be straight, as long as you didn't speak with a lisp or wear a dress. Funny how a concept can change a whole culture. We have to worry about who we have sex with. Weird how one little blowjob will make you a fag nowadays. Straight James. Yeah, Hart Crane fucked a lot of those sailors. Gay James. Okay, Hart Crane. So when you played him in the film you directed, The Broken Tower, you fillet a dildo on screen and then have simulated sex with Michael Shannon. What's up with that? Straight James. What's up with that? Well, I wanted those scenes to be explicit for two reasons. One, I knew that Crane was an openly gay man in a time when that was rare, and he was so upfront about it that he scared his more conservative poetry friends. So those scenes were a way to parallel the in-your-face nature of Crane's own sexuality. I also knew the movie was going to be full of dense poetry, and I wanted to break it up with some hot sex. Gay James. Okay, but didn't you know that would be the only thing the reviewers would talk about? Straight James. Of course, but that's their short-sightedness. And once I went to film school and started directing my own movies, I realized that I was only going to direct movies I really cared about and in ways that I wanted, regardless of critique. As an actor, I've been in huge blockbusters like Spider-Man and Planet of the Apes, and critical hits like Milk and 127 Hours, as well as successful comedies like Pineapple Express and This Is the End. So I know all sides of success. But when directing my own projects, the primary focus is art. Yes, I want people to see them, and sure, I'd like people to like them, but my primary allegiance is to the work itself. Gay James. Okay, whatever you say, but you're also a goofball, especially on your Instagram account. Do you want people to think you're gay? Wouldn't it be a good thing if you were just a straight dude like Ryan Gosling, just straight and cool? Straight James. Why would you say it was a good thing that people would consider me straight? I actually like it when people think I'm gay. It's a great shield. Like the guy in Shampoo, or the play Shampoo is based on, The Country Wife by Wycherley. Gay James. What do you mean? You want to be able to go around screwing other people's wives by pretending to be gay? Straight James. No, I guess I mean that I like my queer public persona. I like that it's so hard to define me and that people always have to guess about me. They don't know what the hell is up with me, and that's great. Not that I do what I do to confuse people, but as long as they're confused, I get time to play. Gay James. Some people think it's annoying. Straight James. If I'm so annoying, why do they write about me? If they were truly sick of my shit, they would just ignore me, but they don't. I don't do what I do for attention. He does do what he does for attention. I do it because I believe in what I do. Of course, some of it is tongue in cheek, but that's just a tonal thing. It's not like I call the paparazzi on myself or anything like that. I'm just having a conversation with the public. If you don't want me to be part of a convo, check out. If you do, cool. Gay James. Okay, but some people tell you just Okay, but some people tell you to just screw a guy, and then you get over all this gay art stuff, like playing the gay poet Hart Crane, or another gay poet Allen Ginsberg, or directing the movie Interior, Leather Bar, which has actual gay sex in it, or painting paintings of Seth Rogen naked. Maybe if you Maybe if you just fucked a guy, you get all. Maybe if you just fucked a guy, you'd get over all this exoticizing of gay lifestyles. Straight James. Maybe sex with a guy would change things, but I doubt it. Like I said, I'm gay in my art. Or I should say, queer in my art. I'm not in this for political reasons, although sometimes it becomes political, like when I voted for same sex marriage, etc. But what it's really about is making queer art that destabilizes ingrained ways of thinking, that challenge. Okay. Gay James. But inevitably, people will think that you're gay. They will think that you're in Milk and Howl and the Broken Tower and Interior Leather Bar because you actually are gay. That all these projects are ways of playing gay hide and seek. Straight James, these are all works of art, and art is free. Art is its own realm. Of course, they can be read through a biographical lens, and of course, something like Interior Leather Bar uses my persona to talk about some of these very issues, but they're still works of art, and not exactly non fictional statements about who I am. Gay James, is this interview a non fictional statement about who you are? Straight James, yes and no. Yes, in the sense that I am answering as James Franco, but no, in the sense that it is a public statement in an entertainment magazine, which means that it's part of my public persona and not part of my private, veridical self. And even if it were in the New York Times, it would be the same. It would be an expression of my public self. Gay James, well, why don't you just stop playing games and give us a little of your private self? Straight James, kind of impossible, don't you think? As soon as I share it, it becomes public. Here's a little poem back at you. So now this is a poem, another poem within the poem called Fake, told by Straight James. There is a fake version of me, and he is the one who writes these poems. He has an attitude and swagger that I don't have. But on the page, this fake me is the me that speaks, and this fake me is louder than the real me, and he is the one that everyone knows. He's become the real me because everyone treats me like I'm the fake me. Gay James. And why is the public self any less sincere than the private self? Straight James. That's a good question, I guess. I guess for me, I've disowned it a little bit. When I was young, I tried so hard to control the public's perception of me, but I found that to be a waste of energy, partly because I couldn't control how people saw me, and partly because I stopped caring. Gay James. You don't care if people don't like you? Straight James. Sure, I care, but I don't let that stop me from doing something I believe in. And let's say all my fans suddenly turned against me overnight. If I were to be honest, I couldn't complain because I've had an awesome life so far. I've had a life many people dream about, and if it went away tomorrow, I could still say I had my share of the good stuff. Gay James, is that why you teach? To give back some of the good stuff to others? Straight James, duh. Gay James, want to elaborate on that? Straight James, sure. I teach to stop thinking about myself for a bit, but also because I find the classroom to be a very pure place, largely unaffected by the business world. I like people who still dream big, who are consumed by their work, and that's how most students in MFA programs are. Gay James. Okay, last question. What do you say to people who criticize you for appropriating gay culture for your work? Straight James. I say fuck off, but I say it gently. This is such a fraught issue, and I'm sensitive to all of its aspects. But first of all, I was not the one who pulled my public persona into the gay world. That was the straight gossip press and gay press speculating about me. I really don't care what people think about my sexuality, and it's also none of their business. He so cares. So I really don't choose to identify with my public persona. I'm not interested in most straight male bonding rituals, but I'm kept from being fully embraced by the gay community Because I don't think anyone truly believes I have gay sex. Gay James, oh, some do, believe me. Straight James, well, good, I like that. Gay James, why? Straight James, because it means I can be a figure for change. I am a figure who can show the straight community that many of their definitions are outdated and boring. I can also show the gay community that many of the things about themselves that they are giving up to join the straight community are actually valuable and beautiful. Gay James, okay, can we talk about Child of God for a minute? You adapted the Cormac McCarthy novel, and your buddy Scott Hayes gives an amazing performance that's already been singled out by the New York Times. Straight James, yup. Gay James, so what the hell, James? Necrophilia? The dude is out in the woods having relationships with dead people. Everyone's going to think you're more crazy than they already do. Straight James, well, let's remember it's a faithful adaptation of a book by Cormac McCarthy, who won the Pulitzer and was in Oprah's book club. But you're right, it's grisly material. But I didn't make the film because I was interested in sex with dead bodies. I did it because I was interested in who we are when we're alone and who we are when we're intimate with another person. Lester Ballard is a character who has full relationships with corpses, meaning he fills in both sides of the mental relationship, but he gets a body to interact with. Gay James, sort of like this conversation with yourself, except there's only one body. Gay James, Straight James, sorry. Shit, I'd love to fuck you. Would that make me gay? Gay James, you jerk me off all the time. Straight James, yeah, but I'm thinking about women when I do it, or watching straight porn. Gay James, so I know tons of gay guys who watch straight porn. Straight James, anyway, this interview is going a little south. And I don't think my publicist will appreciate us talking about porn. Gay James, fine, whatever. One more question. Straight James, you said the other question was the last. Gay James, well, you have a lot of fucking projects to promote, and your publicist wants you to talk about all of them. Straight James, don't tell me what my publicist wants. Gay James, why not? She's my publicist too. Straight James, yeah, but she wants you to stay out of the public eye because you're gay. Gay James, that's bullshit. Robin Baum doesn't give a shit what I do. Straight James, I don't know about that, but anyway, what's your question? Gay James, tell me about this new film directed by Justin Kelly, one of the editors from Milk. Straight James, basically it's about this guy, Michael Glatzy, who was a huge gay activist in San Francisco in the early 2000s, who worked for XY magazine and would go around to high schools telling kids it was okay to be gay. And then he had this huge turnaround and found God and became Christian, and then he was ordained as a Christian minister, and now he's married to a woman. At first, he turned on his ex-boyfriend and all his friends and said that if you're gay, you're going to hell. But I think he's since pulled back from that stance a little. Gay James, well, that's nice of him. Straight James, ha, yeah, he went a little extreme for a minute. Gay James, and why did he go straight? Straight James, he thought he was going to die. Gay James, and why are you gay? Straight James, because it's more fun. Gay James, and why would you make that movie? I mean, what's the point? Straight James, well, it's not as if the movie itself is anti-gay. It's just a very interesting and unique way to examine the way that straight and gay are defined by others and how we define ourselves. Gay James, thinks for a minute. You know, you're pretty arrogant. Straight James, why do you say that? Gay James, I don't know, this whole interview, like how dare you interview yourself? And it's so annoying because you're always trying to be so meta, like in This Is the End. Straight James, dude, this interview wasn't my idea. I was asked by this magazine to interview myself, and I didn't write This Is the End, but I'm glad I was in it. It was a way to talk about a lot of stuff without being threatening because it was so comedic. Gay James, okay, let's just kiss in the mirror again. Straight James, you got it, baby. they kiss. I need a moment after that one. That was rough. And we've reached the last poem in the book of poetry, Straight James, Gay James. It's called Buildings Romans and Buildings Romans. What is it to be in high school? What to watch high school on television and in the movies? I hated high school while in it. But as I grew older, I realized it was the most important period. It was the period when I found everything I loved and still do: literature, art, acting, filmmaking. High school is ages 14 to 18, when puberty hits its stride and bodies are the sweetest. Sex in high school is the most forbidden, and I think the best. The participants don't know the moves, but the act is framed by sweet evil. If you look at many novels that are regarded as works of maturity, you'll find that they actually deal with youth and the same old issues on the schoolyard. Jonathan Franzen books, Richard Russo, Stephen King, even East of Eden. There's a reason we have a whole category, Bildungsroman. Some artists' work never leave this brief period, or they come back to it again and again. Harmony Korine, Gus Van Sant, Larry Clark, Richard Prince, Sofia Coppola, Bruce Springsteen, Lana Del Rey, and me. Youth is a dancer, dancing on a knife, and below is a fire that ages and marks you. The elders wait in the fire, looking up at the cunts and the cocks in full bloom. I'm not going to bother to read the acknowledgments or the about the author. I will take a moment to say this is what aesthetic privilege and white privilege will get you. This is the kind of art it produces, and this is the kind of legacy that it leaves. Personally, I think James Franco is a decent enough actor, but a person who has been enabled by both his looks and his good fortune, and no doubt some amount of hard work, but generally the fact there are opportunities that he just would not have had he not been born in the right place, looked the right way, been of the right race, had the class privilege that he had, and he's undoubtedly ambitious, but it is unchecked ambition because basically everybody wants to tell him how great he is, right? So, hundreds of years from now, if we want if we want this to be our representative voice, then by all means we should continue down the path that we're on. I have no problem with anybody writing whatever they want or doing whatever they want. But there's certainly in this, and I can only presume in his other works because I'm certainly never going to read them. You don't dispel something just because you acknowledge it, right? You don't. One of my pet peeves in movies is when they sort of make a reference to something that's happening that is a trope, and they'll reference the trope, and they'll call it out. They'll almost break the fourth wall in calling it out, as if that excuses using the trope, and it doesn't. If anything, it calls more attention to it, at least in my mind. And that's a lot of what I feel when I read sort of his defensiveness and excuse making and explanations for why he does what he does. And I'm a bit conflicted by it because on one hand, I don't want to be like, hey, buddy, stick to acting, right? But you also have to keep in mind that he is a teacher. And teaching is not just knowing the facts and instructing people on the facts. It is imbuing, it's imbuing vulnerable minds, or minds that are open to learn, to worldviews and ways of looking at things, more than just like explaining the technical details of any given sort of area of study. And I guess that concerns me a bit. So, Straight James, Gay James, pick it up in your local bookstore. I had to ask a kind woman in my local bookstore for this with a straight face, no pun intended, and they didn't even have it, so I had to order it. So I could have saved myself the slight embarrassment, but anyway, that's what I wanted to do tonight, was just read you that and hold it up as a shining example of the sort of legacy we can expect to leave behind if we eschew diversity and don't give platforms to people who have things to say, and instead waste that bandwidth on privileged, entitled, good-looking actors. Good night.